on, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling DWAYNE EBANKS.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here on this truly terrific Thursday. 949-8037 or 949-6990. Of course, our toll-free line is open for you, 1-800-534-8255. And then the WhatsApp, 925-3261. Of course, if I look at my rating, sometimes that 3 and the 5 and the 2, and it all looks the same. Ah, boy. Happens when you don't pay attention to your numbers, huh? Well, maybe you can tell me what played at some point. So yesterday was a good day at the Agriculture Show. I'd like to hear from you as well. It's going to be open line, so stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling DWAYNE EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for joining us as we invite you to be a part of the discussion. I know many are still relaxing and enjoying, what they think is a holiday, and thought, well, maybe we should be looking at a 4-day work week. I referenced that to you as someone had asked, we to look at the whole consideration from the notion that, on one hand, without question, the economy requires many of us to be at work almost 24/7, 365, it would seem. And for some, they keep questioning, well, where is that balance between work and family? Where is that balance between the work life and that life seemingly outside of work? So, discussion revolved around, for want of a better words, soon to be retiring professional. He said that as he looks back over his career, he realizes that he's spent almost, every day, Monday through Friday, Saturdays and Sundays, public holidays, even when he was on vacation, almost every day, and especially in the last, 15 years or so, at work. Now, maybe many of you can relate to that. He said for one reason or another, he's at work, from the premise that, he has to now be in constant contact with clients and the like, as they're required to be, on board with what they have. And as they're looking at changing in the marketplace, new laws, regulations, not just policies that perhaps the own organization or the professional association have put in play, but as clients sometimes require almost immediate access to you and a response. And with the advent of the technologies that we have now, well, you're not only at work all the time, you're expected to be at work. And he thought, well, that's probably the same, for everybody in the sector. It was what we had come to expect of the people who worked in healthcare and the people who were employed as police or fire or other emergency services. But then he realizes that that's no different when we look at today's world for the person who was working in retail, or maybe it's a supermarket or, gas station as we would call it. He refers to it in a different tone, but still the same thing. And expecting everybody, all businesses to be almost open 24 hours a day. Now, he shared that just recently, before the year ended, they had traveled and as part of that travel, they're in what is considered to be an affluent, upscale, very sort of, first world country. That not only was a practice that he thought had long sort of been discontinued, but is a practice that they have made sure that they keep, if nothing more, during the holiday season, to ensure that people are reminded of how important it is to balance that whole issue of work and family, the working life and the private life. And expecting, as many of us have come to expect, especially when we're traveling to North America and other countries like that we would go places, and if we need something, from baby milk to a bottle of beer, from paper to Pampers to anything else, that there's somewhere that is open that we can get these things. Well, he says, to his surprise, and then at the end of the day, somewhat, frustration. Wait a minute, he can't get this at 3 o'clock in the morning. You can't get this on a Wednesday night or a Sunday afternoon. But that was it. So they got him to thinking. And I would ask you, as we look at two things. One, the holiday yesterday, and then the holiday which I'm told is the first time in the country's history. Now, you can, correct if this is not accurate, that we are celebrating a Thursday holiday, not including, when Christmas or Boxing Day or New Year's Day falls on a Thursday or the like, but a holiday that is on a Thursday. It may have happened before, but I'm told that this would be the first time. And individuals share that, this would be a good chance for the country to think, as we look, forward to growing the economy, increasing the population, to the changes that may come to the skyline and the physical landscape, to why not assess what the country should be like when we're asking our people to not only give up more of their time and their taxes, not only to sacrifice more of themselves in order to grow the country, but are we looking at the mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and even the financial health of the country and its citizens? And he said, as he got closer and closer to sort of retiring, part of the proposal was that he would scale back the amount of time he's in the office, not just the hours but the days. Then he got to a point now where he has 3 days that he's sort of out of the office, and those include those traditional Saturdays and Sundays. And he at first found it a bit strange, but now that he's almost out of the office even more and only in the office 3 sort of working days, as it were. So he has the weekends plus the 2 other days that he's off. He's realizing that he's more productive, has a better balance on what he can do relative to the time with family, even when he's asked to still manage a few accounts and clients, when he's looking at being able to spend time with young colleagues and, for want of a better term, to mentor and to assist them. Now he recognizes that he has that financial ability to maybe scale back how much hours he works. He also recognizes, he says, that he's earned that, if it were, that right, that privilege, that position to be able to do so. But to the young associate, to the new hire in the office, the expectation has come that you're going to be 60, 70, 80, 90 hours in a week. Now, the question that I asked him, and perhaps you can help us, is it that it's about being productive, or is it about being positioned as who can come to work the earliest and stay the latest? It's about outlasting in terms of hours your fellow colleagues, because the time in the office and physically present counts for more than necessarily the actual output and the contribution. What is your thought? And as you weigh in on that, his idea that he is in office 3 or 4 days, and then he gets to be on a 3-day weekend, is that something that would be beneficial in the country? No, we've broached this before, mainly because of a number of you who've asked the question. Not some may assume, those are people now, they want to get out of the work. But because a number of you have shared not just research data that indicates people can and are more productive when they know that they have something to look forward to. So one fellow here, I trust this does not, because it's not his intent, sort of disclose the operation, but he said he tested it amongst the staff. A relatively small outfit, but he said, staff were able to, for a trial period, as long as the work was being done. And if someone wanted to work Saturday, Sunday, and Monday and Tuesday, and then be off, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I had no problems with that, if that's what they wanted. If someone wanted to be off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, no problems with that. If they want to be off Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, didn't matter. But they had to be consistent, and this were the times. And he said two things. One, that when they were there, knowing that they had 3 full days in succession that they were off, that whereas in the past, yes, they may have been in the office 9, 10, 11 hours, some days 12, 13 hours, that they're still there sometimes as long, but they get more done, and they're focused. They're not absent, as it were, from the desk. They're not running errands, in most cases, during the work day. They're not doing other things. But he also found that some of them are looking better from the perspective that, how did he put it? Not ghostly, I think was the word. They're actually outside in the garden. They're going fishing. They're paddleboarding. They're kayaking. They're going to the beach. They're looking healthier. They're exercising. They're happier. Now, interesting times. Let's go to our phones and see what today's topics will take us to. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon to you, Sterling. Then.
Hey, good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
That's fine.
Well, thank you for taking time to share with us.
Well, thank you for listening to me. What it's worth, I just give my opinion on things. I never give advice. That's for those who are the professionals.
Yes, sir.
Or they call themselves professionals. They give advice.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about the work ideas. We've got to realize in Cayman, and it's very difficult for people, a lot of Caymanians my age, to realize that what we did 40-odd years ago, 45 years ago or so in particular, is completely different society now.
Yes, sir.
We moved away from where Caymanians, number one, were the majority. I'm talking about generational Caymanians. Because it's important that we recognize the difference.
True.
The generational Caymanians and people say who have become Caymanian, not by parents, grandparents, whatever. It's a difference. Anyhow, I won't go into that. We can argue that whatever, till the rooster stop crowing, but I don't think that will happen.
Or as they say, to the rooster's cut teeth?
Yeah, I have several there. Crowing all day long.
Yes, sir.
Anyhow, we moved away from that life, so it's difficult for us to grasp that cataclysmic change, I call it, into a new type of system where one of the main parts of our economy is really not manufacturing things. We never did manufacture that much, but we did bring in, we send home monies, the seamen sending home money, so forth, by working abroad and building houses. And now we do make trusses for the roofs and stuff here ourselves. And that gives some workers, that ability to manufacture things, so to speak. That's part of the economy of supplying the needs of the new economy, building the big houses and condominiums and the apartments and the hotels and so forth. But we have found that there are many people in that type of work, you're handling big monies for people. And, of course, as I said, that money is produced by factories, and because the main thing to produce monies are mining and factories and so forth, giant factories in other parts of the world. And the big boys who owns those things would like to find a way to invest their money away from there so they can lessen their tax burden, or so to speak, or it's a complex thing. So I'm not going to try to explain what I don't really know that much about, but anyone can understand that we're handling other people's money, mainly the country's people's money. So there's a great involvement, time difference. So some people will have to be working in the middle of the night. I've seen people, I know friends in the financial world who are going into work at 2 o'clock in the morning because a bank in Tokyo or so will be long open then. And then even in London, and so it's a 5-hour difference. And then you'll find that and way over in the Middle East, it would still be a far difference between business there, these companies. So therefore, you'll find people working. And it might not be the same person that was working in the day, but it'll be another person involved in these transactions. We moved away from where it was 40-odd years ago. You saw money coming in suitcases, and bankers and lawyers and stuff, and accountants meeting the people at the airport. That's done electronically now. And we don't move any faster than we did then, but the system of communication is much faster. So we have information at our fingertips. Whether that's good or bad, I do believe it can play on people's minds mentally. You have to access so much information in a split instant, and you have to make decisions now in a split instant when you had the time before to think about it. So many times, as we're talking about development plan, and I'm saying things are done now in a hurry. It's just the nature of the way of life here in Cayman now, that before we would stop and think. But now you don't even have that luxury to think about what I'm trying to say. It may sound mumbled up and confusing, but you no longer have that luxury. In some countries, big countries, I know in Canada, they do it on past the United States too. What they have done to give people, each person, a chance to have a job, like a big factory.
Right.
Cut your hours from 40 hours a week.
But if I could ask you, though, respectfully, I mean, I hear what you're saying with it being a service-based economy, but isn't that then maybe more opportunity with the technology that we have that we will probably, quite evidently recall the early days of when people talked about telecommuting. They would be at home or they would go to some remote location. Instead of having to make that long drive to the physical office, this was, maybe even 25, 30 years ago when it was starting to just come into vogue. But could we not, if we were interested in doing that, consider ways to make it better for the economy, reduce the traffic congestion, the potential pollution, help the employees balance their work and private lives?
I understand what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
Yes. But at the same time, you're really not focusing on relationships with people. You see what I'm saying? So you lose something. Everything you give up, you gain something, and you lose something. So therefore, you're like an isolated person. Where you say no man is an island. You're working here at home on your computer, and you're doing that work at home. You could jump on a plane and be from some other country.
Yeah. If I may ask you, though, because something you just shared, I was thinking back to the gentleman's comment to me earlier, and I hope I did not misunderstand, but more importantly, I hope I don't misspeak. He was sharing that, and let's just use an example that maybe I hopefully got it right. So let's say you're working in the financial services sector, and you have clients, as you shared, that are in, say, time zones where there's 6, 8, 10, 12 hours of difference. So, when you, in order to serve them during their work day, you have to work late at night here. or the other way around, as it were. He shared that sometimes the challenge isn't that the work is there isn't this working environment of cooperation. Is more of a cutthroat competition. So if you were leaving the office today, your clients, your portfolio, they're yours, and you don't necessarily have the cooperation of your colleagues because they may be trying to undermine you. And that is the problem. You can't just leave the book open and the next guy comes in and continues as you would in a manufacturing process. His view is that part of the challenge in servicing the client in that instance isn't that we're not available 24/7, 365, is that our colleagues, our co-workers are more competitive than cooperative.
Yes. Well, this is what has happened with us. What I'm trying to show is that the main focus, before it was we were earning money to do for family.
Right.
Send home money to build a house that when you eventually retire from the sea, your house would be built and you'd have, or if it's some land that your wife could, or your sister or your mother or so forth could farm a little bit and have produce there, be a little more self-sufficient. You know, it's good to see what's happening now with the farming. We need to put moratoriums, we know that, on items, but we have to discourage that he can only bring in so much that he can produce here to give the farmers a break. But the thing is that we were focusing on that. Now the focus and challenge, as you see, we have much too many cars. To see if I can buy maybe $100,000 Porsche or BMW or Mercedes-Benz upscale, and I can push up to earning $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year. It's highly competitive, as you see. The guy moves out from the office. The other guy might take over his client, his portfolio, and the bonus will be his at the end of the year and so forth, because
right.
It's highly competitive. And the thing is this now, we're focused on money, big money, big monies, and you can't really blame anyone else. So the plan for development is very difficult because the main focus is on getting that money, more money through here, more money for the boys handling it and the women too now, and so forth. And the other part, the social aspect or the consequences of this focus, there is a price to pay for everything in life, for the good, for the bad, and the ugly. We'll pay a price for it. So there's a price to pay for all this. You have to sit back and think, is it worth it? Are the Caymanians, the quarter of the population that is now, are they better off because we have quadrupled our population in 40 years or so? So we have no example to go by in any country on the planet, I don't think, that's successful, so you say. Is it worth it? Is all this worth it? We have to think, has it been really worth this change, so to speak? That's what I'm merely trying to show. There's a price to pay. And if we want to bring in more cars, there's a price to pay for that. We can't build any more roads. We don't have the land space. We have a very, very high per capita ratio, if you want to put it that way, for cars. So do we really? Well, we need the money from the duties because of the type of taxation. But is it really worth it? Has the climb for a few, if we want to put it that way, and we can't envy them or anything. They've struggled, they've done this, as you see. Many people will have to be working 24 hours a day. They're highly paid. Or you're not really working the 24 hours, but your mind will be at that constantly. So you might neglect to be thinking about, well, the children, I could go here and there with them, but no, I have to meet this deadline for this big boy in away from here who has plenty of money I'm handling for, so I better concentrate on that because my children expect to go to Ivy League University. They expect to have a brand new car if they get graduated with good marks and so forth, and so I have to go ahead and do this, whereas the focus wasn't on that before. So I'm just talking about the cataclysmic change that many of us my age, as I say, might have a hard time coming to grips with. But as we move forward at light speed almost, we will be changing again. In another 20 years, we'll be so much advanced that what I'm saying now, will seem like a old fogey talk and all that, and they're listening to high-speed things. They're not even. It might be way more advanced when you compare what we were 20 years ago, and now nobody has a cell phone, but we still live, we still manage. Anyhow, I thought it might be a jumbled and confusing thing, what I'm saying, but the main message is it worth it? The change, you must think of that.
Yes, sir.
It's worth it.
Well,
have a wonderful day. I listen on, others will contribute, and maybe
yes, sir.
what I'm saying is nonsense.
Nope, not at all. And thank you for sharing it.
I listen on.
Yes, sir. Enjoy your afternoon, and I tell you, man, when I get a chance to listen to the caller, and the fact that he's willing to engage in a discussion and the willingness to, as he says, it's his opinion. I say, his well-informed, considered opinion gives us food for thought. Now, let's pause. I believe there's a break that we should have taken 9, 12, I don't know how many minutes ago. But we'll take it all the same. Thanks to DJ Lynn for letting us be, what they say, asking forgiveness rather than permission. Stay tuned. When we come back, more Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Whether you're planning your child's next birthday party or simply looking for a social night out, look no further than Kingpin Bowling at King Sports Center.
With a range of packages and specials for bowling parties, socials, and corporate team building, Kingpin Bowling offers what no one else can. The only bowling alley in Cayman. And it's indoor fun, which means no mosquitoes, AC, and don't forget about their bowling bar. Book your bowling lanes today. Call 946-BOWL. That's 946-2495. Email kingpinbowling@candw.ky. For more information, visit their website, www.kingsportscenter.com.
King Sports Center, providing your fitness, recreation, and relaxation needs. Check out Fashion Mart's Hot Spring Sale. Apparel for all. Up to 50% off women's, men's, and babies' clothing. Work or casual wear, and from babies through teens. Hair products and accessories too. Located on Printers Way in the old Little Darlings location. Fashion Mart's Spring Sale through March 16th.
Excuse me, I noticed you from afar.
Really? Me?
Well, not you. The KFC sandwich you're eating?
Oh, Zinger.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be funny.
No, it's called the Zinger Sandwich. Crunchy, juicy, 100% chicken breast, crisp lettuce, sweet mayo on a seeded bun with a little zing. KFC's chicken is not factory breaded, frozen, and refried like the Burger Boys. Customize your KFC Zinger and dip it in barbecue sauce.
Wow, now I'm starting to notice you too.
KFC, it's finger-licking good.
From happy beginnings to happy ever after.
BritK protects your lifestyle with the best insurance cover at the best possible price.
Health insurance with far-reaching benefits.
95% of claims settled in 5 days.
Low-cost life insurance.
And investments.
Security in retirement.
With a custodian pension plan.
For happy beginnings and a happy ever after.
Visit BritK.ky or call 949-8699.
BritK, where people come first.
The 26th Annual General Meeting of the Justices of the Peace Association of the Cayman Islands will be held Wednesday, March 13th, 6 p.m. on the second floor of the Georgetown Yacht Club restaurant, followed by a formal dinner at 6:30 p.m. Confirm your attendance by emailing ghmyrie@candw.ky.
Save time. Don't stand in line. You can apply for or renew your trade and business license online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just visit dci.gov.ky and click on the Trade and Business Online application link. Now, you don't need to stand in line, take time out of your busy schedule, or try to find parking. You can apply for your trade and business license online. Visit dci.gov.ky today and save time for running your business.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio Cayman News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Hello, I am Noel March, a small business owner in Georgetown for over 20 years. Small businesses depend on government to develop a quality infrastructure and environment that encourages entrepreneurs to create and grow local businesses, resulting in the creation of jobs and prosperity for Caymanians. Small businesses help drive our economy. Just as we have supported building the new airport, we must support the building of the new cargo and cruise port. It will give our tourism industry the opportunity to grow and Caymanian entrepreneurs the chance to shine. Support the port. Support our tourism.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling DWAYNE EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today, 949-8037 or 949-6990. Of course, we offer you the opportunity to, you call and we pay. Well, Captain Clares used to say, no cash, no splash. Well, if you call, we pay. The toll-free line, 1-800-534-8255. It's open line. Call and share your thoughts with us. And certainly, eager to hear your perspective. Now, the caller before was sharing that perhaps the economy, the society, the country itself has changed so significantly that even if we were trying to get back some of those values to rekindle, the bright sparks of the days past, that we can't. We're just now on this automatic, almost treadmill-like lifestyle where it's 24/7. We go round and round, the merry-go-round, and nobody's actually merry. But we'll see how it goes. Let's go to our phones. Welcome. Thank you for sharing. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Sterling. How are you?
Very thankful. How about yourself?
Pretty good. I want to talk about three things.
Of course.
I didn't go to the agriculture show. But, Facebook is a very big media out there. Very, very broad open. And I was surprised that I didn't see anything no more than Borden Town, Mr. Al Suku had something up there. It was beautiful, a display. But Sterling, we the people of this island, when it comes to negativeness and minding people out of business, we are great to go on the media in regard to it. But the agriculture show, that is one thing that everyone looks to every year. I was surprised I didn't see anything up on Facebook in regards to how great it was and showing off the different produce and, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but anyhow, I just my thought on that. But it seems like it went very well, which is good. I heard in the news just a couple of days ago where some guy apparently was living in a gated community and he went to must be the wrong door or something and they called the police on him and so forth and so forth. And apparently, I don't want to say this and be wrong. I think he wrestled with the officer or someone in that category, but come to find out he was on a 6-month work permit. And the people he's working for, I think they said something in effect that, they was getting ready to take out a year work permit for him. So the judge apparently banned him from going to the bars and so forth and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Sterling, I think that is so petty, so silly to say that you got someone here on a work permit for 6 months and it's almost about to expire. And here he get in trouble because of drinking. Now they want to give him the 1 year work permit with a condition. He stay away from the bars and whatever. Why I say anything about this, Sterling, is to the fact that this is why our Caymanians can't get no job in this country, because stuff like this. Here he is, can get this super chance to stay here. It wasn't no crime that he killed someone and all that kind of stuff, right? But, I mean, Sterling, you got to wait for someone to get killed or someone to get a stick of ganja to throw them in jail before you can say that, this is what the other person did. He did the ganja, they did this, he did that. But they did go to jail, and the other individual is out on the street and still go and work in society. Like I say, they commit no crime now to kill anyone. Don't get me wrong, okay?
Right.
But just to see that this person permit is practically almost up, and they're going to go and give him the year work permit. Let me tell you something. That was a sign right there. God forgive him for saying it. What he's going to be all about here in Cayman Island. So I leave my government and my people to help solve and fix that problem. Darling, my next topic is, darling, we talked about get a lot of heat out here about pricing, and they want to bring this Uber and Flex and so forth into the field. I don't give a rat's what they want to bring. It is what it is. Once the price is right, that's all that matters. What I want to say to this, Sterling, when you leave the airport and you used to drive across the fire station to get down to the industrial area, to come out down through Eastern Avenue, to go on to the 7 Mile before we got this new road that we got now called Esther Tibbetts Highway. I call it Dart Highway. You would pay $18.75 from the airport to the Marriott from 1 to 3 person that's in that group. Follow me?
Right.
If you drive that road from the airport, continue. If you go into the Margaritaville, which was Treasure Island, you'll be paying $18 for 1 to 3 persons, U.S. Okay?
Right.
Now, Sterling, we have the new Esther Tibbetts Highway. I don't know how often they fix the map around here or what, how to do it. But now that we're driving the Esther Tibbetts Highway and we're going to Cayman Bay, we are charging for 1 to 3 persons to Cayman Bay, $21 coming on the new highway. Not using the old road no more, because that is too old and it's too far a distance. Apparently, we're hitting the new road all the time, which is the Esther Tibbetts Highway, leading us down to Dart and the rest of the 7 Mile stretch and so forth. You understand where I'm coming from?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So what I'm saying is, if we are charging $21 for 1 to 3 persons to Cayman Bay, coming on Esther Tibbetts Highway, that fare should really actually be coming from the old road. So I need somebody out there to please get these prices correct and update the map, so we as taxi drivers can be calling robbers and thieves out here. Because when they call one taxi a thief, they call it all taxi drivers a thief. And I try my very best to stay from under that regime. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So before people come and say that taxes are overcharging people, you all need to contact whoever's in charge, tourism, public transport. I'm not even sure who these prices go through. I purchased a book for $30 when it first came out. That book was drawn up from 2007, Sterling, and I've been using that. And when I started the airport, I was using the airport prices. Now, Sterling, you can leave the airport and go to the Morris Tortuga for $6 to $9, 1 to 3 persons. $6 to $9. If I leave Georgetown Central and go to Botanical Gardens, I am looking at roughly $70 odd to go to Botanical Gardens from 1 to 3 persons. Or even the Crystal Caves, more the Crystal Caves up in the Old Man Bay. Yes. So, Sterling, I just wish that somebody could call in and talk about these prices. And a lot of taxi drivers up there, and a lot of local people say they don't know why she don't start the radio. But let me tell you something, Sterling. I thank God that we got radios to talk, because when you elect the members of these islands to represent you, and you can't get one of them to come and talk to you when you want to talk about something. Thank God for Radio Cayman and Rooster and many more of them.
Right. It's important for society.
So.
All right. Well, listen, thank you for at least having the continuing courage to share, as you do. And feel free to accept our invitation to call and share your thoughts anytime you wish. All right?
Thank you.
All right. Have a good afternoon. Talk to you very soon. All right. Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hey, good afternoon, Dwayne.
Hey, good afternoon.
Jennifer.
How are you?
How are you? I'm good. How are you?
Oh, excellent. Today's.
I have one grandmother left alive, and she is 100 years old today.
Yeah, so just that people don't miss that.
Coriel Albertine Powery.
100 years.
Hailing from the district of West Bay.
Yep.
March 7th, 1919.
Yeah, man. I tell you what, boy, it's unfortunate, and if you'll forgive me, even us who are family sometimes see our parents and grandmothers and our aunts and uncles who are 80 and 90 and 100 plus.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even make a big deal and celebrate it,
Yeah.
But at least I'm glad that as a granddaughter you are not just very proud, but very publicly sharing with us that we have good people who live good lives and are able to be celebrated even when they're 100,
Yes. I don't know how. She's getting a little frail now, but at 100, you're allowed to be anything you want to be.
At 100, I tell you what. Oh, man. And the beautiful part of having enjoyed such a long life, but a wonderful, marriage as well,
That's right, 72 years they were married.
72 years,
Yeah, and he died when he was 96.
Yep.
My grandfather, so.
Well, I tell you what, it's good when we see this, across the country, in all the districts, on all 3 islands where people are living 90, 100 plus,
Yeah, I don't know if she's going to receive that letter from the Queen, because I don't know how many other people around here who knows that she's 100. When it comes to the top guys.
Yeah. But this
anyway,
this is why it's important, because I think, and as if you would mind me sharing, as you saying this, I'm thinking back to a conversation I had earlier with someone and with a caller prior to the one last that was saying how busy the world is and how busy Cayman is, that we forget sometimes the little things that are significant. Somebody who has attained an age of 100, that customer letter is more than just a customer letter. It's a milestone.
That's right.
It's significant.
That's right. Exactly.
And it shouldn't be late. It should be signed, sealed, and delivered on the day of.
That's right. If not before.
If not before.
Well, I mean, at least the night before.
and the morning of, right? And,
yeah, that's right.
but is it because as a people, and I say this, and I would offer all my friends and family the greatest apology. We forget sometimes people's birthdays and anniversaries. We forget people having a particular thing on that day that is important to them, or we don't attend because something else came up at work that was pressing and urgent.
Yeah, all those things happen.
Right.
But knowing that she has been a Jehovah's Witness pretty much, about half her life.
Mm-hmm.
She got baptized in 1959, but never really took so much part in, celebrating birthdays per se. But at the same time, like you say, it is a milestone.
Yeah.
And I mean, not too many people reach that age, That,
yeah, man. And
anyway.
Well, you know what? For what it's worth, hopefully as you share this publicly, that not only those of us who may have, who know because we know, but maybe we'll be reminded, and as a country, we'll start to be appreciative that there is something in the water here. There's something in the lifestyle of our, our forefathers that we could probably, at least have a look at again.
Make it a point.
Yep.
Make it a point to have those names and,
mm-hmm.
know who is who. in your community.
Exactly. Well, 100 years. It's
100.
It's a mixed bag.
Hello too. Which is who is her brother, as you know. How old is he now?
He probably tell you he's still young.
Yeah, but
he was born in 33.
Okay, well, he's getting there.
Yeah, so I let the children out there, and those who are used to their spreadsheets go 1933, 2019, take away one card and 9, put down a 6. but thank you for making us, Jim.
Yeah.
All right?
All right.
We got chat again, and we got to look at that Dirty Beach stand sometime. All right? Well, happy 100th birthday. And maybe we don't celebrate the people the way we should, But let's talk about it when we come back. I'm hoping that there's a young chap who will join us, who is not only eloquent but very outspoken, who may ruffle some feathers, but what he says resonates with many of us. We just don't have the courage and conviction. Let's see if he walks through the doors and shares with us, and as they say, stir the pot. Stay tuned for Headline News. When we come back, more talk today.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
Apply now for a chance to get a local scholarship from the Ministry of Education. The scholarships are open to eligible Caymanian students and adults through April 30th. Funding is available for certificate, associate, bachelor, master and law degree programs at ICCI, UCCI, UE Open Campus, St. Matthew's University and the Cayman Islands Law School. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. The UK's Attorney General says Brexit negotiations will continue as EU officials call for acceptable ideas by tomorrow to break the impasse. Geoffrey Cox said plans to solve the deadlock over the Irish backstop were as clear as day, with just days until MPs vote on the Brexit deal. Commons leader Andrea Leadson confirmed the vote will be held on March 12th. And rain is becoming more frequent in Greenland and accelerating the melting of its ice, a new study has found. Scientists say they're surprised to discover rain falling even during the long Arctic winter. The massive Greenland ice sheet is being watched closely because it holds a huge store of frozen water. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Check out Fashion Mart's Hot Spring Sale. Apparel for all. Up to 50% off women's, men's, and babies' clothing. Work or casual wear, and from babies through teens. Hair products and accessories too. Located on Printers Way in the old Little Darlings location. Fashion Mart's Spring Sale through March 16th.
Business, computer science, engineering, nursing, social education, social work, electrical, plumbing, AC. Wow! I didn't know the University College of the Cayman Islands offered all that.
They also do short classes like Wine 101, Microsoft Office, QuickBooks, and even customized staff training.
Really? That's amazing.
I am going to their open campus event on March 14th from 10 a.m. to see what programs my son can take this fall. They also have an adult learners segment from 4:30 to 7:30 p.m., which I'll ask my staff to attend.
Let me just put a reminder in my phone. March 14th, 10 a.m., UCCI Open Campus Event. Cool. I'll see you there.
Make sure to stop by the UCCI Open Campus Event on Thursday, March 14th from 10 a.m. Learn more on Facebook.com/official-UCCI or call 623-8224.
Miami is so much more than just a shopping destination, offering a variety of vacation experiences. And regular Miami airfares are now from just $182 CI round trip, including taxes, with Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Don't sleep on these savings at Tomlinson Furniture with King Silly mattresses for $475 and futons for $499 till supplies last. New arrivals every week. Tomlinson Furniture, corner of Hospital and Smith Road.
Talk today. but I do have some questions.
Talk today. Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. Talk today. Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling DWAYNE EBANKS.
CUC advises customers in the Randyke Gardens area off the Limford-Pearson Highway in Georgetown that they will experience interruptions to their electrical service on Friday, March 8th between 9 a.m. and 12 noon. Areas affected include Ranking Drive, Dykewood Drive, Candlenut Close, Randyke Way, and Concord Avenue. Motorists are asked to drive with caution when utilizing the Limford-Pearson Highway in front of Randyke Gardens, as CUC will have a number of trucks and personnel in the area. CUC apologizes for the short interruption, which is necessary to facilitate required overhead infrastructure upgrades to provide our customers with safe, reliable, and efficient power. For more information on the outage and streets affected, please contact CUC's customer service team at 949-5200 or email service@cuc.ky.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. And again, a very special thanks, to all the guys you don't see. They're behind the scenes. I always say we should turn the cameras on them. Not only because, they certainly may be more aesthetically pleasing, but you see all the good work that goes behind. Some of us that watch TV would probably prefer, the behind the scenes, the making of this film, as opposed to the film itself, to see how it all comes together. Well, maybe one of these days we'll turn the cameras to the back of the studio to see the faces behind the board. People like DJ Lynn and Susan and the rest of them. Because without their effort, we won't always be able to have the productions that we do. Well, 949-8037, 949-6990, or toll free at 1-800-534-8255. And likewise, you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Just during the break, I was, almost caught out trying to chase up two quick things. And, we work together as a team. And perhaps like the comment earlier from the caller, who quickly, acknowledged that in the working world today, our colleagues are not as cooperative, they're more competitive. Some would say cutthroat. I'm honored to work with a fantastic team where we recognize that end of the day, the presentation that the public sees is a reflection on all of us. So we've got to do our part to make it great. And we do much, in that vein to do the best we can so that you have the very best access. Now, someone quickly sent a message through during the break. And even though I sort of took license and liberty and extended the break a little bit in order to ascertain exactly what he was sharing, it was quite evident of the reticence. He shared quickly that working in the sector he works in, he quickly was able to relate to what was being shared. And for a minute he said if he didn't know any better, you think we were talking about him. He gave us an example. He said that there was a particular event that was very, very important that was going to be transpiring in his life, his family and the like. And so months and months and months in advance, agreed to take the vacation. Now he thought because he was, if I can put it this way, somewhat senior in the organization, the position he occupied, the sort of years of tenure there, as it were, he said, okay, on this date, 6, 8, 10 months down the road, I'll be on vacation, I'll be off for a while, and this is what is happening. So maybe it's a wedding, maybe it's a graduation, maybe it's a family reunion, something significant that we all can relate to and probably would be, most excited, for it to transpire and would want to even celebrate if we could. So he says, as the date approaches, he recognizes two things. Just like many people have shared, that when they go on vacation, whether it's a week or a month or even longer, some can't even, take 2 weeks these days without feeling that when they come back, it just work just piles up. He realizes that to go on vacation, some people complain that they have to do a whole lot to prepare for vacation and to anticipate what they'll face when they return. So they don't bother to take vacation. And then secondly, the otherwise, sort of amenable nature of colleagues and even some junior staff, and certainly, those who are, even higher up the pecking order, they, again, he didn't use the word, but this is how I interpret it. When I put it back to him, he sort of didn't say yea or nay. The sort of resentment that, you get to take off some time, how dare you? I thought, is that the working environment that we have created in this country, where people feel like they do in many jurisdictions that if they take an extended holiday, that they're at risk of losing their jobs? And then, as I said to him, this is the month that we honor and celebrate our women. Maybe that's why men and women sometimes don't advance that far into the workplace, because if they're going on maternity leave, their jobs are not, safe and secure. Now, is that a practice that has happened in the past? Is it a practice that is still continuing? Is it a practice that for women who want to advance up the career ladder, that they feel they have to give up the family in order to have the career, or they have to give up the career in order to have the family? And yet, maybe even for some fathers, it's probably likewise. But he shared that he could relate to the notion that, he, even with great notice, experience this something very similar, and that as he gets closer to taking the time off, colleagues and clients and the like, little things, like, are you going to be gone, or you're off and not going to be available, and make you feel, again, my words, guilty and very, very conscious of being away from the desk and being almost unavailable at some times. Now, is that the experience in our workplaces? If it is it par for the course? Should it be the accepted norm? How does that compare to what we understand to be the practice, say, in some parts of Europe, where a 6-week holiday over the summer isn't unusual, that is expected? You're going to work a lot longer at other times. Now, some of you may say, well, that's what you get with a socialist, democracy or socialist society. But is that a bad word? Is that a bad thing? What is your thought? 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. And the reason why I mention all this is that at the outset, if you missed, a fellow shared, we're going to have a visit by the royal couple. And because of that, for whatever the reasons, whether you accept it or not, the relative ease and without seemingly any public consultation nor approval, the government can say, hey, we're going to have another holiday on a Thursday. So if that's the case, could we not, he said, have another holiday that celebrated these people? Thought to be considered. Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon to you again, Sterling Green.
Welcome back again, sir.
Call back and take up people's time, but I noticed you had a dearth of callers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I just looked at something really quickly. We were talking about advancing and where we are now and what we were, so forth. We've always known that a Christian-based, always have been, and that has been a strong part of our past, and I hope it's continuing to the future, though it is lots of attack on Christian principles. But reading here the Cayman Islands Journal, where they had the CEO speakers beyond towers provide glimpses into the future. It's disturbing to me where the gentleman, I think Metz, I hope that's the right pronunciation for his name, Metz, Jamie futurists, they call them. I guess that's a new profession. I don't know. But I noticed that a lot of people are now futurists, predicting things, and then make speeches all over the world and whatever profession they're in. I guess it's usually tied to the economy, I'm sure. But it's talking about altering genes of people, that DNA detection will enable. They're going to be in vitro fertilization of eggs, human women's eggs, and therefore they can know from the DNA what this child will be, whether it's tall, short, whether I get from the IQ of the different family members or whoever was used to fertilize the egg, I don't know, that they will then decide on which ones of the fertilized eggs will be kept alive or be allowed to grow to, and so forth. And it's really disturbing that we'll decide more or less who lives or dies in that situation. And, it's reminiscent of the experiments and all the thousands and thousands of pages documented of what Mr. Hitler's Germany, the doctors were doing in the late 1930s. They carried out and they're recorded, and there are videos taken of them, with the old reel-type cameras, and recorded thousands and thousands of footage where they gave speeches and stuff on something very, very similar, where they were deciding. I watched a documentary on that hours long some years ago. They actually would decide who would live from these births where they found, but at that time it was not with this type of fertilization. It was they were looking at the really seriously mentally retarded children who barely knew whether they were human or might not even know, crawling about and so forth like animals, and they would decide that they would be euthanized, and so you would produce, remember what Mr. Hitler said, the superior Aryan race and so forth. And it's almost returning to that when you decide who would live or die. The Lord Jesus, he went amongst lepers and saved them, and people who were demented and saved them, and he concentrated on that, and everybody was equal to him in the long course of things, and when we die, we'll all be equal. For sure. I remember an old German I worked with, he was a master sergeant in Hitler's army up in Canada. He he had been imprisoned in the big prisoner of war camp near Bowmanville, and he, after the war, of course, he sent for his family and decided to stay there. And he was often telling me a lot. He'd only talk to me. I can't remember what his name was, Eric. And this is 50 years ago, so he would be dead now, I imagine. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, he often said that to me, Space, the only true justice is death, because it makes us all equal. You're all equally dead. The poor man, the rich man, the same. But this kind of thought, to me, is or ideas to be purporting, is disturbing to me, that we've reached that stage and take away, as we're just saying, about the human side of things, the compassionate, that's the social side. And we're focusing more now on money, and it's maybe we have to think of the cost of doing that, the price we pay for just focusing on these issues. We're having people say these things, whether it's right or wrong for him to say it. It's not for me, the judge. I just think, giving my opinion, we have to be very careful of adopting this kind of idea, where we try to decide who lives more or less and who dies. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I just thought I'd put that out there. I don't know if anyone else noticed it or read it or thought about it in that way, but that's how it sticks with me, and I'm very disturbed by this type of thought process. Anyway, have a wonderful day. I listen on.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing, because the idea that, as you referenced to us, we need to look at it. And as I was listening to you, a good friend, Mr. Mario Rankin, sits in, and Mario, today is, to some people, just another work day. For others, because they've had a midweek reprieve, they've had either an opportunity to go to the agriculture show. Mm-hmm. By tradition, they've always done. For others, it wasn't a bad day, let's go out in the boat. it gives them a chance to kind of unwind and relax and to think. I share that with you because I had a chance to chat with someone who says, for the first time in a while, even though we had holidays already this year, we celebrated Christmas and New Year's, we had, the whole issue of Heroes Day. They weren't, in his mind, a holiday. There wasn't an interruption, was the word he used, in his work week like yesterday was. But a welcome one, because then it gave him a chance to, why am I doing all this? Am I on a hamster on a wheel? Am I looking at life in a new perspective?
Well, I just got to say that I did go to the grounds yesterday, and I did go on the boat yesterday. I did both. And I think that it's important that we all take a pause and a time out to enjoy ourselves, because we realize that stress is like one of the key factors in a lot of ailments in Cayman and around the world, obviously. So it's important that we take just as much time to realize, that we do need a break, as we do when we are working every day.
And the thing that I'm glad that you accepted the invite to join me today is that in that sort of ability to step away, that break, what has allowed some of us when we do, maybe because we're retired, maybe because of some other thing, we have some time on our hands, we get to think. We get to think before we act and before we talk. And in that thinking, maybe we're reading more. We will read something that we always want to read. Maybe we're reading new things, new magazines, new newspapers or what have you. Or we're rereading a book that we read and had to read back in school or back for some other thing that was an obligation. And I share that in that earlier, a fellow had been promising that we would chat with some things he wanted to share. And I'll be honest with you, it was worth the wait. And that, as he shared, he's lamenting that in Cayman, not some big industrialized nation that is 24/7, but actually it is. It might be industrialized, but it's constant. He can call somebody to do maintenance, and they'll probably respond at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning as they would at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He can go to get, I call it, gas. He may refer to it as something else. He can go get fuel for his car. He could probably find some sort of food to eat 24/7.
Well, I think that it's absolutely important that people find the time to take that time out to do the things that's important, like relaxing, take a little stress off. And it's all about, a lot of people think, oh, well, they don't have the time, they go work too hard. If they don't do this, it's not going to pay the bills and all these things. And obviously, some people got it easier than others, based on finances and whatnot. But you don't have to be rich to go out on a boat or to go enjoy the beach or to just sit at home, cook some food and relax, invite some friends over. You don't have to be rich to do those things. In fact, we see people spending an immense amount of money to come to our jurisdiction to do the very same things that we pretty much enjoy every day if we chose to. If we chose.
Okay. Can I interject and ask you, just reflect on that. Let's take people in 3 segments, if I can, right? So the bottom, the middle, and the top. So the ones at the top, let's say that they're making the big bucks, are probably continuing to try to preserve that wealth to get more because enough is not enough. And they feel that they have to. And at some point, they'll be willing to trade because they have the wealth for some time. The ones at the bottom, if they're not struggling too much, there may be an element of, let's use the word happiness, that they can spend time. They can't afford the lavish parties and extravagant vacations or whatever, but you bring a piece of chicken, I bring some cassava, and we'll have a little get together and we'll share it up, all right? Because now we're fellowshipping. The ones in the middle, though, they don't have enough to get there, but they're so struggling and stressed and stretched that they don't have time to think, to do, and they're constantly on the grind.
Well, that's why when you have a gathering at your place, obviously those who can bring something, and those who can't still enjoy because they are part of a group of people who have probably been friends for a lifetime and don't have an issue contributing to a get-together where everybody can come and enjoy. The biggest, and I'm not a human psychologist or no doctor or anything. I'm just simply calling it how I personally see it.
Right.
And there were times where I used to be seriously stressed over things that I shouldn't have been stressed over. I thought way too deep into certain issues, which I should have just accepted it for what it was, moved on, and focused on other things that I had that I could have been grateful for. Because every day I wake up, I give thanks. A lot of people may want to think that, oh, well, they see a person, they see their social lifestyle, and then they categorize you as this type of person. But what they don't know is that persons like myself, and I can speak only for me in this regard, every morning I get up, I give thanks for what I have. I never complain about what I don't have. Now, if you're not able to recognize the already wealth that you have around you, because wealth is not finances or vanity.
Yeah.
Wealth is being able to wake up in the morning, being healthy, being able to get out of bed or go and do what it is that maintains your lifestyle, and being a part of that process. If you have kids, wealth and riches meaning that your kids are fine, they got a roof over their head, they got a little bit of food. And these are the simple things that people take for granted on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's why I like with you. You remind us of what is truly, measured as wealth and what's valuable. Mario Rankin is our honored guest. Mario, we do have a call online. Hey, let's go to the phones. I like to shake coconut trees. Well, I like these bears as well. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Rankin.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Sorry, I got no knees very sick. But my neighbor has a big tree, and they have some now, but they're not fit enough.
Not fit enough. Well, I promise you, I won't come in uninvited to take them like some people do, but I'll anxiously and eagerly enjoy them.
But I remembered that somebody that you know too had promised chocolate.
Well, for what it's worth, okay, we have celebrated that privately together, so I know.
Okay, you thank that somebody for me, please.
I will.
Okay. This is what I have to say. It's not I don't know, I just turned on the radio, and I want you all to know that when Radio Cayman isn't broadcasting, I mean, you always broadcast, but when the show is on, I miss it. I like on Saturdays and Sundays. Oh my! I'm thinking today Monday. I got it on, but why they not coming on? But anyway, I called to say this. Today, 2 weeks ago, praise be to God, I got in an accident. And my friend was with me, and neither one of us got hurt, not a scratch. And I got, it was a low boy truck, ran into me on the side of me, and then slammed me into the cantina that is right there by the Galleria. So my car was a total write-off.
Wow.
But I thank God. I thank God because I know He was behind the wheel with me. I thank God. He's a merciful God. But what I'm getting at, Mr. Rankin and DWAYNE, is that the two young paramedics that came in the ambulance, Michael Blackburn and another young lady, her last name was Arch, but I could not remember the first name. They were so kind, so professional, and I also thank God we have smart Caymanians.
Yeah, man.
And they didn't, you know what? They didn't talk about the accident. They were monitoring us. And then they said to me, but I thought your name was Shirlene. I said, oh, yeah. But it's also Rhonda, my first name.
Yeah.
And many, many, many years ago, you all would not have known this. But people used to be called by their second name, not the first name. So they thanked me very much, but I thank God it was, he sent people that I knew, and even though I was frightened and very nervous and whatnot, they were professional. Thank you, Michael Blackburn, and thank you to Miss Arch.
Yeah, and you would know her parents and her grandparents, because that's an exceptional young lady who wanted to be in that field from very early.
Oh, yeah?
And she got the opportunity. I believe she studied in Florida North. Thought I don't want to say too much about it, but competent, as you said, very professional, and very much, as you said, epitomizing the dedication that sector has when its people are employed. And it's good to see young Caymanians taking up that role.
Exactly. Then something else happened on Tuesday night, day before yesterday. CUC people were working around my cousin's house, like pole by my cousin's house, chopping down the bush and whatnot, and they wanted to put up another pole, and accidentally they cut her line. So she was without electricity from about this time of the day until 10 at night. But I know that they're professionals, but they worked hard to get that electricity back on. They kept checking with me because she was alone, so I was down there with her. And I can tell Mr. Hugh that he have very good professional employees, very good. And they kept me updated of what they were doing until they got electricity back on. And there was a gentleman there by the name of Mr. Powell. I didn't get his first name. He kept checking to find out if there was anything in the freezer that, would have defrosted, or anything in the fridge, I should say, that had defrosted. And CUC would have been responsible for that. But no, we couldn't say, yes, CUC is responsible for that, because that wouldn't have been so. And I thank them very much. And thanks again for listening to me. But we do have some good professional Caymanians, thank God, and young ones as well.
Yes, ma'am. Well, hey, thank you, and we're glad to know that, as you shared, not only you got the sort of service you want, but thank God that it was, as you described, not any worse than what it was, no?
That's right. That's right. And the care I got at the hospital, which wasn't very long, we were only there like an hour, for them to continue to, to take my pressure or take our pressure, and both of us have diabetes, and then I had recently got my kidney removed, and so, but we were fine, except don't ask how frightened we were, because we were really, really frightened. But thank God for good people.
Amen. Well, thank you too. Thank you for you as well.
Thank you,
right.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, well, enjoy your afternoon, all right?
You too, thank you. Bye-bye.
Right. Mario, as I listen to the call, but before we continue, any invite you to share as you wish, because people like you are important to be able to help us.
I just sincerely appreciate when we could recognize those who do good and not always emphasize things that are going wrong, and we don't do a lot. We don't do enough of that, and certainly we should take the time to listen and to when somebody have something positive to say about Caymanians.
Yeah, and the thing is too that is perhaps part of the challenge. As you were sharing, that we are not measuring our true wealth and our true worth because sometimes we don't appreciate it. We think that maybe we live a certain place, a certain job, a certain title, a certain amount of money, that itself.
Yeah, and we get caught up in we get lost in translation, because we live under this idea that if you drop the ball, then that's it. It's over. And the reason why that is because we've seen so many hard-working Caymanian people who have, for whatever reason, slipped through the cracks. Something happened. Maybe it was something medical and it exhausted their savings. And then now they're struggling to make mortgage payments, pay the light bill, pay the rent, do all these things. And then eventually they become a statistic. And it's unfortunate because the government should be on this side working hard to create a sustainable environment for all its people on every level, and that's make sure in putting in national strategies that understands what drives the cost of living up, and understand what solutions you need to put in place and implement in order to tail off the high rising cost of living.
But we often hear that no matter how much money you got.
Yeah. Which creates a lot of stress, and it goes back to that quality of life and the way of life. Yeah. As to how you started off the conversation. So, it's really hard when you can see a person knock on your door, DWAYNE, and I've seen it's happened to me.
Yeah.
That been working from before you got out of school, and still works in that establishment, but yet they fall in such hard times where all they need is $25 to buy bread and eggs. And it's not inspiring. It's not encouraging. Yeah. When you see those things happening,
especially in an environment where we're told that the GDP is this, the seemingly wealth is this.
When you hear technocrats and politicians and those people who are in charge of the establishment that is benefiting and doing very, very well say that the Cayman Islands have a high standard of living and we live this high standard, all it's really doing is telling the outside world that everybody in Cayman is rich, when that is not the case.
Okay, so I appreciate sharing that, right? And we may or may not want to get into this discussion today, so it's not aimed at us, but for the wider public. So I want to share this with you, right? I started by saying, that comment that we hear, money can't buy class, right? So I had a chance to speak to an older lady this morning, and I wish, honestly, I wish that sometimes our people weren't so reserved when it comes to saying things publicly. Now, with her permission, I said I want to quote you. I can't do it with the same flavor. Now, she's very polite, but I would say very cutting in that, what she says. So she's talking about a circumstance and things that are happening in Cayman and relative to where we probably could end up if we don't do certain things. And she used this word. Now, I'll say it how I say it. She says it almost the same way, but with a little bit more emphasis. She said, well, you can't take fudders. You're familiar with that word? Right? Now, that's a nice little Caymanian word. Some of you may not know it. You can ask for translation.
And don't look it up in the dictionary.
It's not in the dictionary. Call Ray Banker. He can explain it to you, right? And then she went on to talk about you can't put them people in position, whether it's in government, whether it's in business. You can't be your example, right? And it got me to thinking. Now, I've been doing some limited research on this notion of fake news. When did this thing come into play? Now you realize it's only been a very short time that the actual terminology has been used and bandied about and is almost accepted. But it has been, right, because as a people, we have failed, in my view, to be critical of what is said publicly. In the news media, perhaps, it's failed to analyze things. It's been willing to maybe not report on certain things or not report things as accurately or as timely. It may be that the advertisers or whoever it is control all sorts of reasons. And in the absence of a critical, thinking consumer society that analyzes stuff and asks the government, like you said, to be this thing to ensure that the populace can enjoy the benefits, the wealth, the safety, the security, and the stability. You made a point just then that in a society that has been portrayed as wealthy, We have people who are homeless, who are, or should I say, allegedly homeless, who are, not just without work, but have no food, that their children are suffering. And then go back to my, 3 tiers of people. There's that section, the first, the second, the third. The second tier of people who are just marginally above, maybe one paycheck away from, going to social services. And they're living not just paycheck to paycheck, but they're living on an extended means.
They're on a conveyor belt.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just waiting their turn, and that is to go down. And it's unfortunate, but that's the reality. We got to stop acting as if that we don't have problems that exist that could be easily changed. The narrative could be changed very easily, But when you have a government who have over the past 50 years, from one administration to the next, has somehow enshrined it into our Hansards at the LA or into some unwritten guide as to how we should conduct ourselves and how we should cater to certain things, and we never stop and say, well, okay, if we continue down this road without any real plan or understanding as to what the implications are going to be moving forward, we're going to start losing our people along the way because whereas being economically successful and being a booming jurisdiction now for construction and development and real estate, we have to ask ourselves, who are reaping the benefits in these areas and where it's booming and things are great and the economy is booming, you hear all these wonderful things. That may be so. But if you don't have a sustainable environment across the table where there is a balance,
right,
that everybody is able to maintain their spot in the queue, right? Then we have a fundamental problem that is going to cause one of the biggest social breakdowns, and then it's going to then start to erode away from all of that all those things that made Cayman the great place that it is, such as crime-free, clean, beautiful environment, hospitable people, people who are very nice, outgoing. All those things are going to start to erode because we're going to have a social problem because people can't afford to pay their bills with the money that they work for every day. So if you have a government that's out there saying, well, we want all this inward-bound investment because we want to see our economy growing, we want to grow our GDP, and we want to do all these things, but the money that derived from that is not being allocated and properly utilized in order to create environments for Caymanians to be in and coexist in and have a fair shot at life without the possibility or the realization that, look, I can't pay $8 for half a gallon of milk anymore. We need to stop sidestepping the issue. The government only job is to create a sustainable environment for all its people. That is their only remit.
Yeah. As we speak to Mario Rankin, the phone lines are open. If you want to call and share your thoughts, certainly if you want to listen and maybe cause you to be a little pensive, introspective and reflective, by all means, 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255 or 949-6990. But Mario, as I listen to you and I reflect on a couple of things, I say this recognizing that it will offend some people. Some people will say, oh boy, he's on a soapbox or whatever. It isn't that. It's the notion that there are 3 individuals that I get a chance to speak with sometimes, quite often. And these would be probably people you would classify as, decent people, law-abiding, contributing members of society. In their roles, in their daily lives, they have certain level of financial and business acumen. They understand finance and statistics and economics and little things. And they have shared, right, independently, on our own occasion, collectively, that we, the country, right, are failing the people because we don't take account of the ever-increasing growth, the more. They share that if we look at our numbers, our GDP, we look at our statistics, we see a couple of things. More and more work permits, but more and more Caymanians unemployed, and more people going to government saying, guys, I need assistance, right? and people get into there. You smile.
I smile because we talk about GDP, then we talk about work permits, we talk about those who are suffering, but our GDP is high.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a system that depends on a large portion of your GDP, the revenue from that is coming from the very thing that's creating social breakdown.
All right. So to sort of pick up on some of the things that you shared that I think they have said, safety, security, stability, that economic prosperity that the nation enjoys is being threatened, because the thing that girds that and drives that and grows the economy is this thing that we're importing, right? And one of them shared that if we were to look, his view, at this growth in our construction industry we're seeing now, that it's going to fuel not just inflation, so things that have become more costly, the cost of construction materials, the cost of construction workers, the cost of all the things that go into that. The price to build your house and to build is going to go up. Right? They said this a couple of years ago when, in their minds, they were seeing that potentially we were attracting business from the Eastern Caribbean that was affected by, the hurricanes, right? But on top of that, the push to grow the population without the supporting infrastructure, not just the physical infrastructure, but the opportunities for Caymanians to capitalize on this new growth, you're going to displace them, right? Now, these are things that you have been saying very directly
for
a very long time. So how is it that we're not hearing this, or is it that we're not understanding, or we just don't want to listen?
Well, if we're gonna embark on the trek to grow our population with the current infrastructure, then we've seriously lost the plot.
Okay.
And I'll say this: if you look at what's happening in Cayman now, if you look at the involvement of businesses and the construction industry, just this morning I saw a construction company I've never seen before in my life.
Okay.
With two people who obviously are not natives of Cayman, but again, you can't look at a person anymore and say, oh, well, he's a foreigner, because he might not be a foreigner.
Right.
Because of our open door policy, where we have gone and done backflips to make it easy for people to come to our shores, become a resident or have status and be a part of who we are. And we've not put one single policy in place in 40 years that looked out for the well-being, the security of a Caymanian. All
right. So let me share. And again, the phone lines are open if you're going to talk. All right. Go ahead.
Yeah. So if we're gonna continue down this path, we already blindfold. Pretty soon we're gonna be in a wheelchair. The next thing we're gonna definitely be on a different heading. But the reality is that it's never too late. It's never too late. We can strike that line in the sand right now. We can put the necessary legislative changes in place that ensures the continuity of Caymanians and the participation of our smart Caymanians and those who are willing to work.
Okay.
And change the narrative of all Caymanians are lazy.
All right. Now, for the record, and you can hear that tomorrow morning with Mr. Art Connor, I didn't share with Mr. Rankin and this. We don't have a script. There's no. We're just gonna be just talking, right? So of these three individuals, they're all Caymanian now, but not all of them are, as a caller before refers to, generational Caymanian. Independent on separate occasions, they've all questioned why is it that for a Caymanian who is a Caymanian by status or some means like that is not only being asked, but is having a difficult time to prove that they're Caymanian, right? And why I share that is that he's saying that we are creating within our society a divide within a divide. And to your point, this notion that we don't see the long-term consequences, negative consequences
that's going to happen.
Well, I would say could happen, but you're probably right.
Well, it's already happening. I mean, just before we go to the break, look at our educational system.
Okay.
All right. In the early 90s, we had Truman and the Brady Bunch who decided they were going to segregate the school system, right? So all foreigners had to put their children in private school. Caymanians had full access to the government school. Now you think about that. That's 30 years ago. Now, can you imagine all of those kids that went to private school by law, not by choice, but by law, who are now integrated in our society and probably got residency or status and is a Caymanian at this point.
And may have children of their own.
Or may have children of their own who have never interacted with the greater Caymanian people.
and then go one step further.
Right? So how are we going to create a even, balanced social environment when we have segregated our harvest at the beginning, which is at the school level?
All right. I'll share this not just carefully because I don't want it to incite people into it, but I want it to be insightful. But because I hadn't had a chance to properly vet it and assess it. So one of these three shared with me that, and it's probably difficult. Oh, okay, well, maybe I'm being saved by the bear. But when I come back, don't let me forget this. I want to talk about the segregation issue relative to sports and the like, right? And the whole thing of nationality. So maybe I can figure out how to say it. All right, Mr. Wilson, my apologies. Let's go to the break. Hey, I got to talk until they tell me not to, When we come back, the phone lines are open, so stay tuned for Talk Today.
The 26th Annual General Meeting of the Justices of the Peace Association of the Cayman Islands will be held Wednesday, March 13th, 6 p.m. on the second floor of the Georgetown Yacht Club restaurant, followed by a formal dinner at 6:30 p.m. Confirm your attendance by emailing ghmary@candw.ky.
Tune in to Radio Cayman every morning at 7:20 a.m. for your daily weather update. Proudly brought to you by Miller's Plumbing and Accessories. With over 47 years of experience, they'll get the job done for you on time. Free estimate. Miller's Plumbing and Accessories. Call them at 949-4709 for a free estimate.
Did you know that the Department of Environmental Health operates a recycling program in the Cayman Islands? Recyclables such as number 1 and 2 plastics, tin and aluminum cans, cardboard, as well as glass and ceramic items are recycled on Grand Cayman by the DEH. Take these items to the recycling depots located at all Foster's supermarkets, Kirk Market, and Hurley's Grand Harbor. Remember, keep the Cayman Islands clean, reduce, reuse, and recycle. For more information about recycling, please visit DEH website at www.deh.gov.ky.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Miami is so much more than just a shopping destination, offering a variety of vacation experiences. And regular Miami airfares are now from just $182 CI round trip, including taxes, with Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com.
The Creek Seventh-day Adventist Church, in collaboration with the Grand Cayman SDA Community Service Department, invites the Cayman Brat community to its Health Expo on Sunday, March 10th at the Aston Retty Civic Center from 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Come and be informed on tips for living healthy, enjoy organic, tasty, and nutritious meals, and receive free health checks. 1 to 4:30 p.m. this Sunday, March 10th at the Aston Retty Civic Center.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling DWAYNE EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. And thank you for listening and sharing your thoughts. Phone lines are open if you want to call and contribute. Hey, listen, you may say, you know what? You don't know what you're talking about, and you may want to take a contrary view. That's fine, Trust me. I may not be that tall, handsome, but I'll tell you one thing. My mama says, you don't come that big or ugly that you frighten me. It's about dialogue and discourse. If your view is different, then that's great, as long as we're not vitriolic and, as I said, deceitful and undermining. We need to have a willingness to engage. Mario Rankin, on the other hand, I thank you for being so willing and so front and center to share your view, and end of the day, whether we agree or not, we at least civil and respectful, and we're causing people to, hopefully, if nothing else, if they're not thinking, at least they're talking about it. Right?
Well, when we look back on what we've done from a behavior standpoint for the last 100 years, it's very easy because we've been casted into a system that has taught us not to rely on ourselves, because when we were self-sufficient in the late 1800s. England recognized that very quickly, and they dismantled that ability and that track that we were on. So they stuck us under Jamaica governor. They made sure that we had a ruler to answer to, and that our structure would have been based on what they thought was best for us.
Right.
And then we just subliminally accepted that over the last 100 years and said, okay, this is the process, this is how it is. And if you look at Cayman today, and you look at the landscape, and you look at the social fabric, that's a direct result of our colonial masters put in the proverbial hand of suppression that has dictated our behavior over the last 100 years.
Right.
So, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So when we look at even this petition that we've started for the referendum,
right,
and here's what I get a lot of, and when you see older people and we say, hey, have you signed the petition yet? Oh, what's it about? Oh, it's for the referendum. Oh, well, I'm not signing that because the government will do whatever they want anyway. Now remember now, Sterling, that's a serious statement. That's a serious frame of mind. That's a serious mentality that we've developed where we have no confidence in our government, whether they're going to do something that the people want, right? We have no confidence that they're going to listen to us. Hence the reason why we have this sort of drawbacks when we're trying to get people to get on board. Now, let me tell you where we need to change the narrative when it comes to that, because people don't realize that this petition is not only for just the poor and all these other things. This is a precedent that we're gonna set that's going to break that behavior that we've had over the past 100 years, where we have no confidence in the system, or we're not going to do this because it don't matter what we do, they're not going to listen to us. This is the one time now that we, the people of the Cayman Islands, have a tool built into the Constitution that allows us to change the narrative and allows us to change that mentality, oh, well, they're going to do whatever they want, because we can stop them from doing this with a referendum.
Right. No, I want to ask you about that, because someone is, send a WhatsApp, and those who want to, 925-3261, says, no one is setting the table for Caymanians.
Right, I got the same one.
Right.
and he's absolutely right.
Yeah.
We if you look at all of our policies and all our practices and all our procedures that we have in place, go look at the permanent residency law and the application and the procedure. Go check that out. Tell me if you see anything like that anywhere else in the world.
But that's the thing, is that when you sort of, I don't want to say dig into it, but when you check it out, right, you realize that the concessions that are being made, the accommodations, I think you said the backflips, right, that on one hand we're made to believe that everywhere else in the world this is how it is, whereas in Cayman it seems that we're doing a great disservice, not just to generation now, but as you put it, Generation X. With that in mind, though, the issue of the referendum, for instance, I can't tell you how the vote will go. I won't speculate. What I can say is that there are so many people who have said to me they're waiting for the referendum because they want to have a say, yes or no. Some will say they're going to vote no. Some say they're going to vote yes. But they're all presently unwilling to put a name on the paper to say, let's have a referendum, because they're afraid that they're going to either be perceived to be anti-government and against the referendum, or they're going to offend those who are in favor of the referendum and lose some sort of friendship. But I'm thinking, as for democracy, shouldn't you want to participate?
It's that institutionalized mentality that we've developed. Okay. Where we can't get off of that hump, because this process is essential to the way forward for Caymanians. Yeah. This process itself, take the port out of it.
Right.
Let's just look at the process. Let's look at the implications of the process. Look at the things that are going to happen after this process is done. Let's look at it, for instance.
Right.
If we exercise this right now as people, which is something we've never done before on this level, because we didn't have a constitutional tool to allow us to be a part of this type of position, right? So this is going to now set the stage for whenever the government decides that they want to embark on a capital project that is gonna drastically affect the historical, moral, or geographical landscape of the Cayman Islands, that all people have to pay for it, that we have an opportunity now. And you know why? Because we've done it before. we're not saying we want to have a referendum for everything. In fact, the Constitution clearly states it has to be a matter of national importance. So you're limited to what you can have a referendum on. So all of these old people who have this idea that we must remain the same and we must accept that the government will do what they want whenever they want, that is the exact same type of thinking that got us where we are today. And that's not going to be the same thinking that's going to get us out.
All right. Well, it's interesting as I listen to you. Now, Mr. Wilson, is there a news break that we've got to take now, sir? So I can be, on your good side. It doesn't really matter. He's not Susan, so, his good side don't really matter. All right, we're going to take our news break. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion. We'll talk more about the referendum, not just what it is about, but the importance and ramifications, the implications of it. The phone lines are open. You can tune in and call. You can listen and share your thoughts. Hey, 949-8037 or 949-6990. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Headline. Radio Cayman's newsroom. Headline. These are the biggest stories right now.
The Lighthouse School is judged to be a good school overall after a recent inspection by a team at the Office of Education Standards. Areas identified as good included students' attainment and progress in English, mathematics and science, positive behavior for good learning, and teaching and learning. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. St. Kitts and Nevis has signed a sector budget support program with the European Union for $15.437 million aimed at supporting the country in advancing towards energy self-sufficiency from local renewable energy sources. The overall objective of the program is to develop a sustainable energy sector through the increased integration of renewable energy and energy efficiency technologies in public facilities. The Algerian president, Abdelaziz Bouteflika, has warned of a risk of chaos amid mass protests against his plans for re-election. In a letter published by Algeria's official APS news agency, 82-year-old Mr. Bouteflika praised demonstrators for peacefully expressing their opinions, but he also urged vigilance against possible infiltration of the protest by domestic and foreign forces. And Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has said no inappropriate pressure was placed on a minister when he raised concerns to her about a prosecution related to one of the country's biggest firms. But he said he should have been aware of an erosion of trust between the minister and his office. Jody Wilson-Raybould says she was pressured in the criminal prosecution of engineering giant SNC-Lavalin. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Hi, I'm Dawn McLean Brady, President of the Cayman Islands Small Business Association, better known as CISPA. Small businesses drive Cayman's economy. As small business owners, we depend on government to create an environment where we, as entrepreneurs, can do what we do best, and that's to provide products and services that are valuable to our customers and, in turn, employ others. The cruise piers and cargo ports provide these opportunities. Encourage our government to build a port and let the Caymanian entrepreneurial spirit shine. Support the port, support our tourism.
Did you know babies sleep an average of 14 hours per day? Tomlinson Furniture has cribs and beds for babies and toddlers, changing tables and more, including baby clothes and basket sets, like perfect gift packages prepared for newborns. Shop the Welcome Baby section of Tomlinson Furniture, corner of Hospital and Smith Road.
Advance Automotive introduces the strongest, most advanced Silverado ever. Built on the legacy of the most dependable full-size pickups on the road, the Silverado offers enhanced aerodynamics and a more muscular presence. Life's more fun with a truck. Get the perfect balance between work and play with the Colorado. Sand, asphalt, or mud. You can't go wrong with the most capable off-road truck in its class. Visit the Advance Automotive showroom on Owen Roberts Drive or AdvanceChevrolet.com. Don't just drive the road, live it.
The 26th Annual General Meeting of the Justices of the Peace Association of the Cayman Islands will be held Wednesday, March 13th, 6 p.m. on the second floor of the Georgetown Yacht Club restaurant, followed by a formal dinner at 6:30 p.m. Confirm your attendance by emailing ghmary@candw.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling DWAYNE EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us. And if you don't mind me saying, I want to say publicly to all the people who call frequently, and Mario Rankin in particular, for, as I say, willing to take the licks and come sit next to me sometimes. They say a man is known by the company he keeps, so hopefully they think better of you and not worse. But if they do, you know what? We need to be stalwarts in our society that champion the greater good. And too often, I think when we look at it, we're not critical thinkers, as we talk about in the schools when it comes to our students. We're not, discerning consumers. We're not willing to ask people to be accountable, to hold them responsible. And is it because we ourselves are unwilling to be held to that same standard?
I think if there were greater accountability across the board, and especially in all government departments, that we would see a better working machinery.
Yeah.
The problem is that everybody is protected by somebody who knows somebody. So a lot of times, and it's not, and this is not every single individual, right? I'm just simply saying that one of the hardest things in the world to do is to fire a civil servant. And one of the key issues when it comes to moving forward is that our ministries and all of these departments is what runs the Cayman Islands.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people who are on the ground, who are taking care of all the things that we have as a government and as a people.
Yeah.
So when there's not a lot of accountability in those departments, when something goes wrong, when we look at, and we can't not talk about these things because a lot of these things are just recent headlines with, the $10 million overrun at the airport because we didn't put in hurricane-proof windows. Same $10 million could have built the jetways, but nobody got fired. You never heard one single soul was brought up and be reprimanded for that huge oversight.
Well, let me ask, right? And this is not, honestly, this is not to be disparaging. It's not even meant to be disrespectful. This is not even meant to. Anyway, slight. But I believe, my personal view, that media in a society has to be one of the most important things that a society has, because it has to be the thing that is protected by law, protected by practice, and by the moral code, that as long as it's just and honorable and it's doing things that are free and fair and like that, it should be able to have access to certain things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just like a UN worker should be a UN worker and be identified as such, and nobody shoots at the person with the media sort of credentials should be off limits. You shouldn't beat them up, but then the responsibility is to be free and fair in the reporting, right? So,
well, I think that radio and print media itself has a huge battle with social media. Because with social media, there's no bounds.
Right.
Yeah, you can report somebody to Facebook. They'll suspend them for 2 weeks, but then they're right back at their old games again. But like I said, it's a pretty complicated situation now as you see it. Because I could say here on the radio, Sterling, we having a party at 7:00 Saturday. It's $5 to get in. The money is being contributed to, some charity.
Yep.
And then someone can take that same thing and they can post it on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And say something totally different, but using the same person's name, and nobody will show up.
Yeah,
because of that.
Right.
So, whereas on the radio, if you say something that is libelous or untrue, or you say something that is demeaning to there's laws that you could be held accountable to because of your responsibility as a media house.
Right. But this is the thing, right? If we look at the role of media in a society, some would say, well, it should be that it reports and not creates. the news. We'll see that some publications, and I'll use print specifically. I know television, as you said, social media is different, that you will read a particular print publication because you expect a certain level of integrity, a certain caliber of reporting. Others, you'll say, man, that's what the paper is printed on. Now, in a small community like this, right, our media generally needs to ensure that it has that level of credibility and integrity. If for instance, and again, not to pick on them, if the editorial of your daily newspaper or the editorial of your says, on one hand, government needs to be financially prudent and responsible and it can't have cost overruns, and then in the same breath in an article or an editorial later on, let's use the airport as an example, 60 million project is now 80 million, maybe 100 million.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking was that 33% increase? That is significant. If I went to the restaurant and the guy says, well, your bill should be $50, but now, you owe me $90. Why? Oh, well, we just decided we can charge you more, no big deal. You might feel funny if the contractor did the same to you. Is that the problem then, that there's not enough investigation, not enough critical analysis of things by the public, not enough expectation of a level of professionalism, of honesty and integrity?
Well, when it comes to the media and the editorial of our local print media, it's actually pretty comical, because I seen something just recently about the referendum and the Constitution and all these things. So they had an article on page 7 that totally contradicted their editorial. Right. So I was confused because I thought they all worked under the same roof. I don't know.
Well, let me just use that and say then. If he doesn't mind, right? Someone like Mr. Roy Borden, J.A. Roy Borden, the former parliamentarian, education minister, and the like. Historian, I think, a very fervent commentator on our political and history in particular, right? So his former writings, talking about, the Cayman in transition, talking about the notion of the personalities and stuff in our political landscape, right? His latest book, I'll show it to you. I'm anxiously looking forward to reading it, right? So it's from guardhouse to the glass house, one man's journey through, the maze of Caymanian politics. And Mario, when we have people like Mr. Borden, an astute individual, an educated intellectual, a parliamentarian, being able to comment and have it recorded in this notion, we as a people should be reading what our people write and celebrate with him, because it'll encourage other people to do likewise, right? And whether it is, former parliamentarians, or whether it's, others who, well, if you don't mind, I look at some of the things that you write and you share with some of us. They're insightful. They're cause you to think.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, are we as dismissive of everything that a Caymanian says or pens because it's a Caymanian that's saying it or writing it, but yet somebody else who has no perspective on the psyche?
Yeah, that's why I can hire John Grisham to do my biography.
Yeah.
So that way it'll have some credibility. And maybe people will bite when they see his name on the bottom. I'm just saying, it's unfortunate that we can't get the level of respect and support from our own people as we show to other people. But again, it all goes back to that way of life and our behavior over the last 100 years and the environment that we was casted into. But we do have an immense amount of educated Caymanians. Mr. Borden being one of those individuals who was very articulate and astute and understands the landscape of Cayman and the fabric and certainly politics. And I too anxious to read the book. I don't understand how you got a copy before I did, but and that's to take nothing away from you. But I see Mr. Borden probably once or twice a week. We run into each other, and I've been promised this book. But anyway.
you probably right. You probably have had an insight into the original draft.
What I want is I gotta say it out loud, Mr. Bond. I want the rough draft. I don't want the polished draft.
Well, what I'm looking for anxiously to is his official launch at UCCI on the 30th of March. It's the start of the evening, 6 o'clock, right?
Yep.
At the Servants.
I got an invite. I'll be there.
Yeah. And I want our public.
Is your book signed?
Have you opened it yet? Look at it, man. I mean, what if it's not signed? I'll take it and get it signed. But the thing is, right, at home I have a collection of local works, right? And I credit my parents, my mother in particular, for instilling within us a genuine love and a thirst for reading and for knowledge. And I confess, sometimes I read things and I say, well, I don't understand that. I don't know that I agree with that. It does contradict another reading, but it gives you a chance to think and to formulate an opinion. And when I read stuff like, what Mr. Roy has shared, Mr. Lee EBANKS, for instance, his work's now a little bit out of print, but we need to start to look at what our people are saying, and importantly, what is being said about our people in our history, because sometimes it sort of get caught up in the emotion, right? When we talk about Cayman being a dependency of another place, you can't be a dependency of a dependency, right? Two siblings, one may be responsible for the other because he's older, right, or put in charge by the parent, but they're both dependents. Right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
And that isn't to be disparaging, it's to be factual. What is it that we say to people sometimes say, well, history's going to be kind to me because I'm going to write it? Well, if that recorded word isn't accurate and if the accuracy isn't challenged and confirmed, then soon people are going to start to be willing to repeat an inaccuracy that becomes cemented, and all of a sudden the populace is now being undermined. And that, fearfully, is what may have been happening to our country, whether deliberately or inadvertently, but the consequence is the same. What if there is, a change of foot that some may call, social engineering? I referenced earlier, right? And a fellow said to me, he says, he's been in Cayman now 40 plus years, right? But for his distinct accent, but for his, sort of almost immediate willingness to remind you of when he came and what it was like, right? You would probably not realize that, he wasn't from here from day one, because the love that he's had, the things that he shared. He talks about the growing division in our society, from the way some sports are being played increasingly by certain participants, by the way certain educational opportunities are being afforded by, some sectors over others, by the way that you look at certain areas where people congregate. Maybe they play sport, maybe they do other things, and you can distinctively recognize that over here there's this group of Caymanians, but they're all from one nationality, and over here there's another group of Caymanians, but they're from the same nationality originally. No cohesion, no sense of unity and cooperation. Now, fast forward 50 years. What if we have those distinct lines, and in each electoral district you have, how many nationalities are in Cayman? 1,000? I don't know what the number is now.
130?
Is you sure you're not 1,000? Okay.
It could be. I don't know.
I don't know.
Do we have 1,000?
No, I just kidding. No.
I mean globally.
No, we don't. We don't.
But
I exaggerate for a reason, right? What if each nationality is represented in each constituency? Where's the unity in the house then?
Well, it's hard to profess unity when we have 19 electoral districts in a 75 square mile island. I mean, that says a mouthful.
With 20,000 people voting?
So 21,150 to be exact.
Okay, well, but I appreciate you being exact.
I only know this.
I was only 49, I think it is.
Yeah, but I think that Cayman has a very unique opportunity for Caymanians to unite at this juncture in our history, because we've seen very little of Caymanians, gravitating towards each other and uniting for one common cause. And I think that once we trigger this referendum and it becomes a reality, then a lot of the doubters and the people who are not as confident in the establishment to do the right thing, maybe that'll change their mindset, and we get more people on board.
But what I don't understand, right? And I'll ask you, as I would ask others. I signed the petition. Doesn't mean I'm for. Doesn't mean I'm against. I signed it for one fundamental reason. This is supposed to be a free and fair democracy. When the veterans are in here, when my family who have served in the military, whether my uncle who was one of the 200 that was over there in Trinidad, or whether it's my nephews and nieces who were in Desert Storm, doesn't matter, right? when they fight, seemingly, at the orders of their leadership because democracy is being threatened. And I have this thing that I can do, right? Come around election and I can go and I can say I want to vote for this person or this person. In fact, I don't want to vote. I have that choice. And people are to this day dying for that right. They don't have that right. I must take it seriously. I must respect it. I must participate. I must be informed. That's my view as a voter. Now, if that offends people, then maybe I need to say it differently. But we can't take for granted the democracy that we have, because there are people who don't have it, who even they supposedly live in a democratic society, that if they go out and they publicly express support for a particular party or a particular candidate, they're going to be perhaps dire consequences. They may be killed because they're drinking the wrong soda or they're wearing the wrong color. Well, we don't need that in our society, right? So in signing this petition, some have said to me, "Oh boy, you're really taking your job, in your hands." Actually, I think the other way around. By not signing the petition, we would be.
You see, and that's the mentality that we need to break from. And I think it's unfortunate because Caymanian people are typically very, very smart people and adaptive because we've seen generations after generations who have gone and was casted into environments that they'd never been into before and came back as sea captains and engineers and all these things. And before they left here, they had none of these experiences. So what's really disappointing about that story you just shared and that scenario is that we've mentally stripped away our conscious ability to be able to go out and represent something that is actually in the best interest of the Cayman Islands and its people and for the generation that's coming behind us. Because this process is going to open the door and set the precedent so that we don't have this scaremongering tactic that scares our people off.
You saw the hand signals?
Was that they got a call on the line?
Is that a call on the line? The guys over there? Yeah. All right, let's go to the phones. Caller, we apologize. We didn't see the hand signal earlier. Good afternoon. Welcome. If you want to talk today.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
How are you?
Good afternoon.
You settled down now?
Never will, not in Cayman.
There you go. All right.
Hi, Mario.
Afternoon.
You said some time ago while you were talking there about people are saying that what sense it makes us sign this and sign that, because they do what they want to do anyhow. I back up on that 24/7.
Yeah, I know.
The low mentality that we have in Cayman, if we don't snap out of that, Mario, we will never, ever get anywhere in life. And that's why we are being treated the way we are being treated, because of the low mentality and coward and afraid to step foot forward to speak your mind to yourself and to your family and for your community and for yourself. When I first went to Florida to live, I was there for 10 years. And when I got in there and see the way things was, and I'm coming from a small island with a low mentality, I say, Lord, I don't want to be part of that low mentality no more. So I try to come up as much as possible out of it, the low mentality. Then I came back here and I told myself, I said, I hope I don't ever get back into the low mentality, because it is not healthy. It is very heavy on the heart. It destroys every organ in your body. And when you fight for your country and your people are going to see you in the grocery store or wherever they see you, oh, you're just wasting time. I know we call the radio for, and what are you doing this and what are you doing that for? Because they can do what they want to do anyhow. So why are you voting for them if you know that's what they're going to do anyhow? What are you voting them in there 4 years for? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we got to come out of this low mentality, or we will never get nowhere. In Mario, let me tell you something in Sterling. They're going to have to kill me. Because as long as I've got something in my chest, I'm going to speak it if I get the opportunity to. And
that's right.
I try to respect people, and I want respect back, and I try not to live in a negativeness world. I probably was in it at some point in time, but I'm telling myself I got to continue to stay away from it, because all it does is eat you inside out, and you have no friends, no family, nobody. You're hanging here by yourself with a lot of hatred in your heart. And I just want to say today that just keep up the good fight, because we as Caymanians, I know I'm going to continue fighting for my country, for my children, my grandchildren, whoever else who want to be on my bandwagon can join me.
Mm-hmm.
And I take that to you, Mario and Mr. Sterling. You all have a good afternoon.
You too. Thank you very much for that. And with that, I'm reminded that we have the final break. When we come back, we'll wrap things up and see where tomorrow takes us. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Check out Fashion Mart's Hot Spring Sale. Apparel for all. Up to 50% off women's, men's, and babies' clothing. Work or casual wear, and from babies through teens. Hair products and accessories too. Located on Printers Way in the old Little Darlings location. Fashion Mart's Spring Sale through March 16th. CUC advises customers in the Randike Gardens area off the Limford-Pearson Highway in Georgetown that they will experience interruptions to their electrical service on Friday, March 8th between 9 a.m. and 12 noon. Areas affected include Ranking Drive, Dykewood Drive, Candlenut Close, Randike Way, and Concord Avenue. Motorists are asked to drive with caution when utilizing the Limford-Pearson Highway in front of Randike Gardens, as CUC will have a number of trucks and personnel in the area. CUC apologizes for the short interruption, which is necessary to facilitate required overhead infrastructure upgrades to provide our customers with safe, reliable, and efficient power. For more information on the outage and streets affected, please contact CUC's customer service team at 949-5200 or email service@cuc.ky.
March is Honouring Women Month. Hashtag Balance for Better. Support the Family Resource Centre's annual Colour Me Purple 5K fun walk run event and make a difference. Register now. Adults pay only $25 for entry at T-shirt and bib. The Colour Me Purple 5K walk run takes place on Sunday, March 17th, 7 Mile Beach at 6:30 a.m. Book now via CaymanActive.com or stop by the Family Resource Centre's temporary location on the 3rd floor of the Old Walkers Building on Mary Street today. Support Honouring Women Month. Walk or run for an equal chance for all.
One TradeX knows there's more than one way to invest. One TradeX is the Cayman Islands' only fully licensed online broker-dealer, offering discount trading services to individual investors and traders, hedge fund managers, and family offices. One TradeX has the most competitive online trading prices of any offshore broker worldwide, with no custody or management fees, free demonstration accounts, and no charge to open an account with a $5,000 minimum deposit. Trade stocks, options, futures, bonds, and Forex. Learn more and open your free demo account today at OneTradeX.com. OneTradeX, the Cayman Islands' #1 choice for online brokerage. OneTradeX is licensed to conduct securities investment business by the Cayman Islands Monetary Authority.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling DWAYNE EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8037 or 949-6990. Those are the numbers to call, or actually, you can also always use our toll-free at 1-800-534-8255. And then WhatsApp, 925-3261. Some of you have another number. Use that as you want. We'll access that too. But, I would say membership has its privileges. While you're ranking, thank you for sitting here with us, boy. And I say this publicly and often. I hope you don't take too many licks for coming out and keeping our company.
No, man, no. I enjoy the dialogue and having the conversations, and I think that it's important that we continue this process, because it only helps people understand what some of the issues are and maybe what some of the solutions are and what we can do moving forward.
But let me ask of you, and this is maybe you could be, but for us, as we look at the hour and the timing, you referenced the people's initiated sort of petition calling for a referendum, right? And the fact that there are some people who are afraid for whatever reason, and yet I don't believe we are appreciative of the significance of having this constitutional right to be able to say, okay, government, could we have a say on this issue?
Well,
right?
Yeah, and I want people to understand that this referendum and this petition is far more important than a general election. You know why? Because this petition is to try to prevent someone or any persons or any grouping from doing whatever they want, that what they believe is in the best interest of the Cayman Islands. If we get this port project wrong, we can't have a referendum to move it. You understand what I'm saying? Government get it wrong, we can vote them out. This process is far more important than a general election, because if our politicians convince us to vote for them and they are successful at the polls and they mess up, we can deal with them 4 years down the line. We can vote them out. But if we do not have this process and we build that port and we get it wrong, Sterling, that is forever.
Yeah, but with that,
we can't change it.
Would it then be, and maybe I don't, and I don't profess that I understand it, but maybe I don't understand it. If you are a government, and not to cover your bases, right? But if you say, listen, we're going to be doing this thing, the port, as you said, you can't, if you get it wrong, undo it. You know, whatever environmental work is done, whatever costs are spent.
And let's just say the weather continues on the format that it has been on over the last 40 years. There's no, listen, our weather has progressively gotten worse because of global warming, and we lost 60 days last year because of weather for cruise ship passengers. Who's to say that that's not going to continue? So not only the environmental implications, we talked about the business case, because if the weather bad out there, they can't come whether you appears or not. So we need to be very, very certain what we're doing with this project.
Okay, so that's the economic side of the people who are affected by the cruise tourism sector. But with the greatest respect, those of us who rely on the food that comes in by the ships to get to the port, to be delivered to the supermarkets so that we can go and buy it, if that doesn't happen and we go into the shelves...
Let's stop right there. Because if we're gonna be gullible and naive about the situation, do you know that they transport tanks, Navy tanks and Navy equipment on planes? So if we got bad weather, we just fly in our goods.
Okay.
Come on now, we have to be realistic about this. I mean, the Cayman Islands ain't gonna starve because a boat can't dock in Georgetown.
Okay, well, I hear you. But there are those who share with me.
You ever seen a DC-10?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
You can put a cruise ship on that.
Yeah. But some people have said to me that the idea of building a port and the emphasis not being as much, according to what they say, on the cargo part of it as it should be, in that when we're locating the port, that we should consider if there is a better place.
Agreed.
Right?
Listen, I want to be very clear here. You know, I'm not anti anything when it comes to the security and the continuity of Cayman. I'm not anti anything. I'm telling you that we are putting way too much emphasis on mass cruise, which is going to jeopardize our overall tourism product. You could put the port in the sky. If you continue to overload our infrastructure, if we continue to make it an uncomfortable experience for our stay over and our cruise, people are going to stop coming to our destination by plane, and it's going to affect the large part of our tourism dollars. So if we want to continue to tell ourselves, because we got a couple little glossy ads and radio ads talking about, the last one I heard about entrepreneurs depend on the port. Entrepreneurs depend on the government to create an environment that allow them to make money. And what they don't understand is that you could put that big glamorous port out there and that cruise ship can't get their money off that supposedly suspended tender fees. Who good you think they're going to charge on them over the war fees? Them same entrepreneurs who out there pounding the pavement about support our tourism, support our port, because we depend on it. Wait till they increase those port over the war fees because they couldn't get no tender money because they had bad weather. See, people not looking at the holistic issue that we have here. The government made one of the most gratifying announcements the other day. It was in the newspaper. We're extending the runway. The government have Mario Rankin support on that. Let's take all of those emphasis and all those ads and all the money you're spending trying to build a port that's going to destroy our overall tourism product. Let's get down to that airport now. Let's extend that runway. You have my support on that. I'm not objecting to anything when it comes to that other than the due process and the business model. Okay? Let's get that done. Let's hang this cruise port thing up. Let's build a better facility at spots. Let's enhance the already existing cruise tourism that we have, and let's put our focus on that airport. That's what the government should be doing if they want to create more revenue and a more desirable destination for Cayman. We need to extend that runway. That's where the real money is in tourism.
Well, maybe your time schedule allow that. Maybe with or without another compatriot, we can come on and talk about that. Because it's good to hear the citizens' perspective, right?
Exactly. I would love to have more dialogue on that. But
well, let's see if we can do that and get you approved to be on the list.
Well, we owe Radio Cayman 5 minutes now. I don't know who's paying for that, but
Joel,
I'm out.
He's paying for that.
Thank you guys again,
Mario. Thank you very much, and to our listeners, be informed, be engaged, and if we don't, as a populace, willingly, engage, be the critical consumers and thinkers, be willing to analyze what is being shared, and even if it's from a trusted source. President Reagan did President Gorbachev, trust but verify. Well, I think his Russian was Dobranaya, no Povanaya. Well, maybe that's what we need to do. Hey, tomorrow's another day. Please join Mr. Art Connor in the morning for the record. Be, in tune with Radio Cayman and all this program, and come back for Talk Today right after the midday news and midday meditation. Got a chance to celebrate our people again tomorrow. And when Mr. Roy Borden's news publication hits the stands, get a copy, not just for your collection. Read it, comment, critique, be inspired, and if at all, I'll be willing to take up the mantle. Until tomorrow, be blessed.